It was supposed to be the happiest day of my life. I had finally worked up the courage to ask for his blessing. Claire's father, Harold Monroe, the man who had everything, money, power, influence. And me? I had nothing but a modest job at a garage and a heart that beat only for his daughter. But Monroe didn't see love. He only saw balance sheets. He barely let me finish before his hand connected with my cheek, the sound of the slap echoing through the marble floor hall. As if that wasn't enough, he picked up a crystal glass of water and poured it slowly over my face. Each drop was a reminder of how small he thought I was. "You are too poor for my daughter," he said coldly, straightening his suit as if slapping me was just business. Claire stood behind him, silent, eyes down. She didn't speak, didn't fight for me. I left their mansion humiliated, but not broken. My hands clenched the steering wheel as I drove back, fury and heartbreak battling inside me. Every word was rang in my ears, mocking me. On my way home, as if the universe hadn't finished toying with me, I noticed a vintage Jaguar broken down by the side of the road. A woman in her 40s stood beside it, visibly frustrated, waving at passing cars that didn't even slow down. I didn't want to stop. I wanted to drown in my misery, but my instincts betrayed me. I pulled over. "Engine won't start?" I asked, wiping my wet face on my sleeve. She smiled faintly. "I think I insulted this poor car by driving it today." I popped the hood, rolled up my sleeves, and got to work. Grease stained my hands, my clothes. It took almost an hour. But eventually, the old beauty roared back to life. "Thank you," she said genuinely, offering her hand. "I'm Evelyn." "No problem," I said, not want to talk. I just want to get home, shower off the day, and forget the humiliation. But life had different plans. As I pulled into my small driveway an hour later, Evelyn's Jaguar rolled up behind me. I froze. She stepped out, looking out of place in my rundown neighborhood. "I owe you more than a thank you," she said. "You have a gift with machines. Do you work in a garage?" I nodded. "Not anymore. You work for me now." I laughed, thinking it was a joke, but Evelyn wasn't smiling. Turns out she was the CEO of a luxury automotive restoration company, vintage, exclusive, global, and she had just fired her chief engineer that morning. Fate had funny timing. I started small, fixing things in a corner of her workshop. But Evelyn wasn't just a CEO. She was a mentor. She taught me how vision mattered more than money. Within a year, I wasn't just fixing cars. I was leading projects, designing, innovating. The company grew. We expanded. Investors noticed. Money followed. Within 3 years, I was a partner, a silent investor who had poured everything I had into this venture. 5 years later, I wasn't just rich. I was influential, not Monroe rich. Bigger. The boy who was too poor, now owned factories across Europe and Asia. My hands still carried grease stains, but now they also held keys to boardrooms Monroe couldn't enter without an invitation. Then the day came. An exclusive charity auction was being hosted by Monroe Enterprises. The most powerful business families would attend. And among the auction items, a limited edition vintage Jaguar restored by my company. I arrived late, intentionally. Heads turned. Whispers started. But none louder than Monroe's reaction when he saw me. He did a double take, as if seeing a ghost. Claire was there too, still beautiful, still poised. But something in her eyes had changed, an emptiness that hadn't been there before. Evelyn stood beside me, a proud smile on her face. "Are you ready?" she asked. "More than ever," I replied. The auctioneer introduced a Jaguar as a masterpiece from one of the fastest-growing luxury brands in Europe. The car I had saved years ago now gleamed under spotlight, a symbol of everything Monroe said I would never be. When the bids began, Monroe's company raised their paddle. I smiled. He didn't even know he was bidding on my craftsmanship. I let the bids rise. Then I casually lifted my paddle. The crowd buzzed. The billionaire's son who once fixed cars now outbidding titans. When the hammer fell, the Jaguar was mine. I owned the room. I owned the narrative. After the auction, Monroe approached, his face forced into a brittle smile. You've done well for yourself. No thanks to you, I replied. Claire hovered behind him, her eyes pleading. Later that evening, she found me near the terrace. I never forgot that night, she said, voice trembling. I wanted to stop him. I wanted to run after you. But you didn't, I said calmly. Tears welled up in her eyes. He made me choose. Between you and the life he promised. I was a coward. Her honesty was disarming. Part of me wanted to believe her. But the scars had taught me that love, when tethered to pride, becomes dangerous. I don't hate you, Claire, I said, but you were silent when it mattered most. That silence shaped me into a man you no longer recognize. She reached for my hand. I recognize you. I never stopped. But it was too late. We were two people from a story that had ended 5 years ago. That night, as I left the event, Monroe stood by the valet, watching me. His expression wasn't angry, it was defeated. You fixed a car and built an empire, he muttered. No, I corrected. I fixed myself first. As my car pulled away, I realized something. Betrayal doesn't end you. It chisels you. It forges you into someone who no longer needs validation. And sometimes, revenge isn't about tearing others down. It's about rising so high that the slap they gave you can no longer reach.